Welcome to the Manus class of 2018. Welcome, graduates. You all today, all the graduates, have the distinction of being the first graduating class for the second century of the Manus School of Music. It's an awesome thing. Absolutely. I want to welcome everyone. I'm Richard Kessler, the Dean of Manus School of Music and Executive Dean for the College of Performing Arts. Thank you. In addition to welcoming the class of 2018, I want to welcome all of the parents, all of the friends, all of the guests. I want to recognize the administrators and also note that, unfortunately, Associate Dean Bill Gustafson could not be here due to a death in his family, and we regret that tremendously. And we'll miss Bill. He sent along an email to a number of us this morning saying how he wished he was here, but he's here in spirit, certainly. I want to recognize all of the faculty, and I would like to ask the faculty to stand. All faculty here, please stand. Manus faculty. And while we're recognizing faculty, I'd like to take one moment to recognize a particular faculty member. Now, while I don't often call him Maestro, it's possible I've never called him Maestro. He's already going like this. But this is, as many of you know, Maestro Joseph Joe Culinary is stepping down as director of the Manus Opera after the most glorious 20-year tenure. I had the privilege and the honor to speak from the stage last week at Lynch Theater to recognize everything that our friend, our teacher, our leader, our master, Maestro, has done for our students, for our school. But I do want to take the special moment just to ask Joe, Maestro Culinary, to stand and for us all to thank him and recognize him. Now, before I introduce our next speaker, there's one thing I want to say. I have remarks at the end, but I do want to say something to the parents. What a profound moment as a parent it must be. I have a 13-year-old daughter, and I can't imagine what this moment must be like for a parent. After all the work, all the worries, all the care, everything that you have done as parents to support the work of your children, your child, and their great achievement, and how profound the moment is, and how important the moment is, and everything that you have done to make this moment possible, a moment that will set forth a beautiful future for every one of these students. So I want to say congratulations to every single parent, every single family member. Congratulations to you, and thank you to you. And now it is my absolute pleasure to introduce someone who is very, very important to Manus, a Manus All-Star. And that is Linda Rappaport, the chair of the Manus Board of Governors, trustee of the university, flute player, mentor, counsel, and also stellar attorney. So everyone, please welcome the great Linda Rappaport to the podium.
Thank you, everybody, and thank you, Richard, the man who has brought Manus to this momentous point in its history. our really visionary dean. Thank you, Richard. And on behalf of the Mannes Board of Governors, the New Schools Boards of Trustees, welcome to all of you, to the wonderful faculty, to our deans, our administrators, parents, friends, all of you. And please join me in giving another round of applause to our wonderful Mannes graduates on this special day. You know, there's a lot of public performance that goes on at Mannes and a lot of events that go on almost every day. And we were all thinking just amongst ourselves up here on this podium how special this day is, how you really can feel the happiness in the room and the affection in the room. I hope you feel that too. Because to the graduates, just for a minute, when you entered Mannes, you became part of a tradition here that we cherish. I mean, we really consider ourselves to be part of a family, not to be too corny, but certainly part of a community, one that has its heritage that's over 100 years old now, as Richard mentioned. Then that vision of Mannes that started 100 years ago is still at the center of the tradition. That was the vision held by two early American recitalists and music educators, the violinist David Mannes and pianist Clara Mannes, to whom we owe a debt to this day. And that vision, we believe, lives on to this day at Mannes. It's one that we hope you will carry on into the world. David and Clara Mannes really felt that music was something of supreme importance in our society and in our world, not just a worthy vocation, although it certainly was that, but they saw it as much more than that as well. They did believe, as do I, and I think many in this room, that music is not just something to experience in the comfort of a concert hall, but it's central to our lives, that it holds the power to transform us as individuals, to transform our communities, our organizations, and our institutions, our society, and that this transformation opens up our spirits to think and feel beyond ourselves, and galvanizes us, hopefully to improve the lives of others, inspires us to see a world of greater fellow feeling and social justice, leading to really a greater world, we hope. It's wonderful to help realize that vision of making the world a better place through music. So as you walk out here today into the world, I hope you will think about the ways you can use your music as a force for good in the world, as well as a force to make people happy, and how you'll build on this wonderful tradition that we hold very dearly at Mannes, the tradition that simply states that music is love. So congratulations to all of you, to all of today's graduates. From the bottom of my heart, I wish you well. I look forward to following your careers and your accomplishments. So all of the best to the class of the 101st graduating class of Mannes College of Music, and love to all of you.
Thank you, Linda Rappaport. We will now recognize all of our graduating students. We will begin by inviting our colleague and friend, Vice Dean Maggie Kuzier, to the podium to recognize our candidates for the Bachelor's of Music and EDPL degrees. Professor Nemhauser, Frank Nemhauser, and Board Chair Linda Rappaport, please join me center stage to congratulate our graduates.
Will all of the candidates for the Bachelor of Music and Extension Diploma please step forward? William Casper. Michael Spiroff. Daniela Magura. Kiana Kinley Safranoff. Matthew Rosen. Martin Granda. Jorge Tabares. Mark Sirkin. Georgi Lekov. Miriam Schurmeister. Elizabeth Ruiz. Avinom Funberg. Burke Eachley. Petra Rivero. Ethan Usoskin. Anne Francis Rocosa. Justin Smith. Natalie Darth Jiao. Isabella Zoyan Ma. Sarah Rasmussen. Julia Meadows. Natalie Brzezinski. Margarita Popova. Congratulations to the Mannes undergraduate class of 2018. It is my pleasure to invite my colleague, Frank Nemhauser, Director of Vocal Studies, to the stage to recognize the candidates. To recognize the candidates for the Master of Music degree and Professional Studies diploma.
Thank you, Maggie. Will all the candidates for the Master of Music and Professional Studies diploma please step forward to receive your degrees? Justin Rosen. Tyler Thomas. Samantha Marshall. Chunmi Kim. Sarah Luce. Chanmi Park. Yufei Chen. Michael Crapenzano. Daniel McGuire. Alice Swape. I'll take your card. Samuel Rubenstein. Nira Chung. Nicholas Mirabile. Janan Chu. Nan Hu. Louis Arks. Mitchell Kasperzik. Hi. Eugenia Dante Copeland. Aaron Jenkins. Yejin Kim. Seunhyun Kim. All right. Joshua Markham. Carlos Barriento. Ivan Gusev. Xuan Chen. Baron Fenwick. Daniel Moreno. Adam Hug. Natalia Gonzalez. Andres Penalver. Clara Lyle. Chloe San Antonio Bialecki. Sanya Huang. Xiujin Yang. Adam Ko. Minji Xiu. Su Quan Chao. Yifan Shao, Shinmu Kao, Guofei Zhang, Jinhee Ho, Yu Yao Tao, Jinqi Liu, Lu Gan, congratulations. Xu Kai Fan, Sunny Liu, Francesca Federico Amorchu, Melanie Mendel, Lydia Chaputa,
Thank you.
Tal Heller, Alexander Greenzag, Zachary Goldman, Hijo Kim, Zi Yi Yang, Lara Saldana, Yutong Liu, Kathy Chen, So Young Kim, Jean Lin, Sulina Beck, Young Soo Jang, Haijun An, Mingu Yao, Afrodian Stevens, Du Young Woo, Cheng Chuan Lee, Chan Chi Jia, Duo Jia Ma, Kira Kaplan, Alexandra Solosky Group, Lu Wang, Joshua Davies, Jacqueline Trace, Christian Howard, Najib Gonzalez, Tyler Shea, Daniel Zinn, Sarah Scheffler, Hanchi Wang, Yuru Liao, Jia Chong Wei, Ji Huan Na, Jeremiah Adriano, Amy Mangyang Wang, Artemis Chung, Kalun Leung, Youngmi Jung, Ian Schaefer, Nina Phillips, Beza Yazgan, Anthony Bonamici, Santiago Lomlin Urea, Radoslava Jasic, Vladimir Mudramtsev, Ham Chan. Where's your hat? Love your hat. Oh, Samantha Nada, Isabel Grace Freeman, Christine Chen, can we have one round of applause for all of our graduates? I would now like to welcome to the stage members of the 13th Street Winds, Samantha Marshall, Chanmi Kim, Jeremiah Adriano, Tyler Thomas, and Alejandro Salaveri. They will be performing the first movement of David Maslanka's Quintet No. 1. The 13th Street Winds.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jeremiah from 13th Street Winds. So I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about the piece really fast. The Quintet for Winds No. 1 by David Maslanka was written in 1984 and premiered in 1984 by the Aspen Wind Quintet, which my teacher, David Krakauer, was a part of here at Manus, so it's really special to get to come full circle and do this. But the piece is based off Maslanka's time here in New York City. And it's really a reflection on city nature versus country nature. So you'll hear a bunch of the wild sounds of the bustling streets of the city here in New York versus maybe a calm stroll through Central Park, which is really great. It's also the opening motif in the French horn is a whole step, which is based off the black-capped chickadee, which is native to the New York area. Which I did some research on, and I realized that the black-capped chickadee, when it feels endangered or stressed, it plays it sings a lot of notes all at once. So I wonder if Maslanka just did not really like the oboe or the clarinet because he felt very endangered by them or something. But there's lots of notes, so enjoy. Thank you.
Well, Chris and Eric do what we know they do so well. I'm going to say thank you to the 13th Street Winds and also ask for another round of applause and maybe some whistles, hoops, and hollers. Let's hear it one more time for the 13th Street Winds. Not an easy piece to play in front of your peers. I want to introduce our keynote speaker right now. You have her bio, it's in the program, so maybe I'll say some things that aren't in the bio. As I know, I've been following her work for a long time, and I met her actually when she was first starting out to create the Harmony program. So my sense of Ann Fitzgibbon is she could have done anything she wanted. She probably could be mayor right now. And she had done all kinds of things, but she wanted to do something. She was working in city government, she was accomplished, and she clearly has the skills and the chops to build networks, to make things happen, to accomplish things. Many people seek to take those kinds of skills and they seek to turn it into money for themselves, to earn the most they can, or power, or many other things. But it's fascinating that what Ann Fitzgibbon wanted to do was to take a look at the El Sistema project that originated in Venezuela, and to look at a way that, to find a way to provide music education to young students who would not ordinarily, in New York City, in an urban environment, be able to access sustained and high-quality music education that not only provides instruction, but supports them in their lives. And she determined that she was going to set out and build an organization that would do this. For the many things that she could have done, she chose to do this. They've just last week celebrated their 10th anniversary. She's accomplished so much, and so many families, so many children, and really all of us should be indebted to her for the work that she is doing. And that is why we've asked her to speak to you today, to speak a little bit, to share a little bit about her worldview, what she's done, the meaning of it. And it is my absolute pleasure and honor to introduce Ann Fitzgibbon and welcome her to the podium.
Dean Kessler, thank you for that lovely introduction. Chairwoman Rappaport, deans, faculty, staff, parents, friends, and most importantly, members of the class of 2018, I am so honored to be here to speak with you today. I'm so excited and I'm so impressed by the warmth in this room and by the talent that was on this stage a moment ago. And congratulations on being graduates today of the Mannes School of Music. I have to confess that when Dean Kessler asked me to speak to you, I said yes, and then I very quickly added, "Are you sure?" Because the path that I charted to my career in music was not exactly a traditional one. Let me remind you that I graduated a few years ago, 25 to be exact, and opportunities then for musicians were much more narrowly prescribed. As graduates of Mannes, you're aware that the musical landscape has evolved. The career trajectories for musicians today are far less conventional, and opportunities abound for those who take initiative. You're graduating at an exciting time, and you'll have much more agency in curating your careers than those who have come before you. And you're graduates of a music school that has prepared you for these changes, not just by emphasizing rigorous musical training, but practical skills and entrepreneurship as well. Having paved my own path to my career, a career that models that familiar phrase, do what you love and you won't work a day in your life, I want to share with you my story of exploring music's role in my life and in our society, and encourage you towards your own process of discovery. As graduates, as musicians, and also importantly as citizens. Let me start by assuring you, at the risk of unsettling your parents a little bit, you don't have to have it all figured out right now. It took me years to embrace what music had instilled in me and prepared me to do. You see, I had two passions, music and public service. Music had figured prominently in my life since childhood. I studied the clarinet, and I was marveling at that beautiful clarinet playing. I studied through college, and some of my fondest memories and my best friendships were made in orchestras and ensembles. And public service was in my blood. My father was a public school educator, and he was fond of reminding my sisters and me all the time that teaching was the noblest profession, and I happen to agree with him. And I spent so much of my time in community service and volunteer work. But in my mind at that time, these two passions of mine were mutually exclusive. And only one of them seemed to be an avenue toward my long-term goal, which was effecting social change. And I didn't think it was music. As fate would have it, I accepted a job at New York City Mayor's office, and among all of the heady policy issues that I worked on, the thing that really captured my attention was the scarcity of instrumental music programs in the public school system. It was unacceptable to me that this cultural capital city of ours, with all its talent and its resources, couldn't do better. So I created a pilot project, as Dean Kessler mentioned. I called it the Harmony Program, and we train musicians to teach children in need. I raised a little money to get it started, and within months, we had children coming from all 5 boroughs to music lessons. With that project, I planted the seed that would ultimately become the organization I run today, serving hundreds of children across the city. Your primary charge now as graduates is to figure out your purpose. And how do you do that? I suggest that you pay attention to what you love most and to what you spend most of your time doing. Those are your biggest clues and your surest compass. Your unique combination of interests, experiences, and abilities are the building blocks of the contribution that only you can make. Just like playing a musical instrument, there are no shortcuts and nobody can do it for you. Now, I don't want to mislead you into thinking that this was easy for me. It wasn't at all. I ended up leaving City Hall, and as artists often do, I juggled jobs to try to incubate this nonprofit organization I had created and try to make ends meet. And I would literally sit in my window on weekday mornings and watch people walk to work and think to myself wistfully, I bet they have health insurance. My schedule was exhausting. I was multitasking poorly, and I really was not at all happy with the quality of the services that the Harmony Program was providing. No doubt, as musicians, you are already aware that judgments are everywhere in this world. In addition to our often harshest inner voices, we are assessed by teachers in the classroom, by adjudicators in auditions, by critics in the concert hall. Our challenge is to listen carefully, to discern between the criticism that leads to self-awareness and self-improvement, and the criticism that's distracting, dispiriting, and gratuitous. I was told New York City children won't want to learn classical music. You'll never sustain that effort in this economy. You're starting your students too early, too late, on the wrong instruments with the wrong teachers at the wrong time of day. I heard everything. You will learn, graduates, it is so much easier to sit on the sidelines and critique those who dare to try, but don't take the easy route. Be triers, be doers, and listen carefully. Listening may be the most underestimated skill today, and no one does it better than a musician. The truth is that all of our dreams get tested, and what really matters is how we respond to those tests. And your response may not be quite as dramatic as mine was. What I did was uproot my entire life and move to South America. I moved to Venezuela. At that time, the year was 2007, and El Sistema was not quite so widely known as it is today as that nation's famous social program, providing young people, many of them desperately poor, with intensive musical training. I had learned of the program secondhand from a friend of mine who had seen the CBS 60 Minutes segment on El Sistema back in the year 2000. I called up CBS and I ordered a little relic that you may not be familiar with. It's called a VHS tape. And I watched this segment on El Sistema, and I saw in their impact this vision of what my work might look like in the future. And a year later, I was awarded a Fulbright Fellowship to immerse myself in that model. With my rusty Spanish and my life distilled into 2 small suitcases, I arrived alone in Caracas, Venezuela, with a grant of $17,000 to support myself for the year. I had a temporary place to stay, and I had a single point of contact. Daunting as it may be, Stepping away from the safe and the familiar adds dimension to our lives. Most importantly, it inoculates us against the universal temptation to assume that what we know and experience is all there is. Aquí todo es posible. My Venezuelan colleagues would tell me, here, everything is possible. And I discovered that for better and for worse, that was true. As I traveled around that country, sometimes in an armored vehicle, going up dusty roads to the barrios where there'd be Beethoven streaming out of broken windows of schools, I was convinced that Venezuela offered the world kind of a control group in a grand study, because so many of its students had absolutely nothing in their lives but music. So it was kind of a one-stop, the orchestra, or a single source for so many of the necessities in life that most of us have the luxury of taking for granted: security, identity, companionship, beauty, and joy. El Sistema's visionary founder, Jose Antonio Abreu, who passed away just 2 months ago, expressed a dramatically broader view of music's powerful place in the world than I had ever heard articulated. It is evident, he would say, that music has to be recognized as an element of socialization, as an agent of social development in the highest sense, because it transmits the highest values: solidarity, harmony, mutual compassion. I listened to his words very carefully and saw firsthand the manifestation of his ideals. Indeed, my experience proved to me that music was not only an agent of social change, but perhaps one of the most effective. El Sistema's efforts against the backdrop of extreme poverty and instability brought into stark relief for me how much music can do to build and strengthen community by training, through music, good citizens. This year, the Harmony Program marks 10 years since my return from Venezuela. We've reached over 1,000 children across the city and opened the doors to opportunities that would have never been accessible to them otherwise. But it's the small but significant daily victories of our young people that make me most proud. Victories over insecurity, despondency, boredom, loneliness. Certainly, music is valuable in its own right. But musical training has so much to teach us about ourselves and our communities. Discovering our passions and purpose, persisting in the face of challenges, listening to one another, expressing compassion and empathy, all of the skills and the sensibilities that I have relied upon most in my life, I see students developing in their music classes every single day. Whatever your path in music, as you enter the world as graduates, whether you're performers or teachers or administrators or something entirely unexpected, remember that as musicians, you have a gift that is your capacity to connect deeply with those around you in ways that you may not fully appreciate now. My hope for you as you leave Manus with your education and your talent and your dreams is that you will find your voices and make them heard. Those of us fortunate enough to have had a music education have a role to play that only we can play. We must help inform thought leaders, policymakers, all of those who are unaware of the critical importance of music within our education system and within our society. In the words of Maestro Abreu, and I quote, "Young professional musicians have obligations they may not have previously considered. It is not enough for them to love their instruments. They must learn to love their responsibilities as citizens." For you, on this graduation day, class of 2018, todo es posible. Everything is possible. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Anne. So now it's my pleasure. This podium has gotten out of control with all the cards. It looks like my desk. And that, of course, is not really funny, but for those of you who've seen my desk. The student speaker is always just such a pleasure. When I think back to all the different student speakers, this is, I think, my 7th Manus graduation. We've had people come on the stage with T-shirts, basically do stand-up, quasi-stand-up comic routines. We've had people inspire us with all sorts of personal stories. It's always something. I will admit, Bill Gustafson, I think, knows what the speaker's going to say. I haven't seen it, so it's always, and you haven't seen it either. So it's always, you always wonder what is it that you're going to hear. But what we know we're going to hear is something that in a way represents all of the graduates. It is one of you speaking on her behalf, but also on your behalf and our behalf. And so it is I keep saying that, but it is my absolute pleasure to welcome Julia Meadows as our student speaker.
Put this up a little bit. The first time I came to New York City, I looked up at the flashing billboards, the narrow strip that was the sky above my head, felt the churning, rhythmic energy like a sea beneath my feet, and I knew I would live here one day. 6 or 7 years later, I walked into a stately pre-war building on Manhattan's Upper West Side, my mother trailing behind me. I had gone to 7 auditions in the past few months, and Manus was one of the last. As I stepped through the heavy doorframe, I felt the old energy again, and I knew. You see, Manus wasn't the most striking school I had visited. It wasn't the most famous, and it wasn't the cheapest. But Manus was the school where a theory professor stopped my mother and myself to make conversation in the hallway, where the dean personally spoke about his ideas and plans with each of the applicants, where students bent intensely over their instruments, but also shouted cheerful greetings to each other in the hallway and sat in windowsills laughing while they ate their exotic New York City takeout lunches. So, while Manus had initially only been on my list because of its voice faculty, it became my first choice because it was a place where people looked exciting and interesting, but also happy. Where there would be rigor, but also artistic freedom, where I could belong without belonging to someone. I stand here this morning astounded at my sheer luck. Astounded because in the heart of this strange, brutal, beautiful city, I, the lonely girl from Vermont, I'm in a whole auditorium filled with people I respect and love. But let me go in a different direction for a moment, because today isn't about me, and it isn't really about Manus. Today is about Manus graduates. On any weeknight at the Manus College of Music, if you wander the halls around, say, 10 p.m., it's a lot like walking through an art gallery. You see, in between my freshman and sophomore years, Manus moved from its old home on West 86th Street to a newly renovated building in Greenwich Village, near the rest of the new school. If you're familiar with this new building, you will know that every hallway within is lined with practice rooms, and you might agree that the brand of practice room door chosen during renovation looks a lot like a picture frame, a border of metal surrounding a large glass window. Frame after frame creates a gallery. And if you wander through this strange exhibit looking carefully into each frame, if you're really paying attention, the picture inside will tell a story. Inside one of them, a pianist leans into his glossy black Steinway. While the friends he sees on Instagram are chugging from red solo cups, he's probably on his 6th hour at the instrument, and he will stay until his mind or his fingers give out. He'll ride the subway 45 minutes to get home to his apartment in Queens, stop by the corner market to pick up dinner, finish his music theory assignment, set an alarm for 7 a.m., and practically fall into his pillow. The next morning, he will drag himself to the coffee pot, commute another 45 minutes back into the city, claim one of the rooms before they fill up, and start again. In the next frame, a soprano studies her Italian aria. She's working on the high coloratura passage because she hasn't been able to sing it properly yet. Every day, she musters the courage to stand up and sing this aria, and every day her teachers tell her she's not quite there yet. And while someone studying a less personal discipline might be able to shrug their shoulders, distance themselves from their work, go home and watch some TV, she's still here because she is her instrument, and the music she cannot sing follows her through life like an irksome ghost. If you keep walking through the gallery, you will see chamber groups debating how best to begin tricky passages, brass players emptying spit valves, reed players meticulously whittling, scraping, and soaking, percussionists transporting instruments larger than small motorcycles, string players with hands and bows flying. You get the point. Graduating from any college is not easy. But graduating from music school is its own thing entirely. If you have ever been asked, for impenetrable and inexplicable reasons, by some overwhelming and unnameable part of yourself, to go beyond yourself, beyond your circumstances, beyond what is normal, beyond what is accepted, beyond what is easy, beyond what is reasonable, beyond what is safe. If the thought of it makes your heart ache, makes your hair stand on end, makes you sweat through your sheets as you toss and turn in the night, if it still compels you to get up in the morning, open your eyes to the sunlight, crack your knuckles, and try again. If these things have ever been true for you, you know what it is like to be an artist, and you may have an inkling of what it took for these graduates to be sitting here today. Which brings me to you, the graduates, my classmates, my colleagues, and my friends. What even to say about this moment? I can only speak from my own point of view, but I am glad there will be other people in the world who know that sweet little Elizabeth Aaron could make you quake in your boots if you brought in a poorly prepared ear training assignment. And that Professor Park always has to finish his egg sandwich before starting class. We love you, Professor, if you're here. But more seriously, I will finish by reading a few excerpts from a poem that to me describes exactly what it is to hold the beautiful responsibility that is a musician's calling. The poem is called Fiddler Jones by Edgar Lee Masters. It tells the life story of a small-town violinist, and it begins like this. The earth keeps some vibration going there in your heart, and that is you. And if the people find you can fiddle, why fiddle you must for all your life. The piece then goes on to describe how Jones, The young violinist could never get any quote-unquote real work done in his life because he was always distracted by the music in his head or by friends who asked him to play for their parties and gatherings. In the last few lines of the poem, Jones says of himself, "How could I till my 40 acres, not to speak of getting more, with a medley of horns, bassoons, and piccolos stirred in my brain by crows and robins and the creak of a windmill? Only these. And I never started to plow in my life that someone did not stop in the road and take me away to a dance or a picnic. I ended up with 40 acres. I ended up with a broken fiddle and a broken laugh and 1,000 memories and not a single regret." My dear friends and fellow graduates, may you always trust the vibration, the knowing, the calling that is the music within you. May you love it until you are broken. And then may you get up again to dance. In the English language, commencement means a beginning. So by all means, let us begin. Thank you.
It's now my pleasure to present our student awards and honors. The Lada Pulvermacher Eggers Humanities Award is awarded in memory of a longtime art history teacher at Mannes. It is awarded to a graduating senior showing particular strength and interest in the humanities. As I call your names, would you come forward, please? This year, the Humanities Award goes to Sunny Liu. The Felix Salser Techniques of Music Award is given to a student or students who have demonstrated excellence in the subjects embraced by the Techniques of Music curriculum. This year we have 3 winners, and the winners are Baron Fenwick, Alice Bai Shui, and Michael Spiroff. The Josef Fidelman Memorial Award for Piano is given to a graduating pianist or pianists who have demonstrated significant accomplishment as a performer of new music. We have 2 award winners this year, Mingu Yao and Beza Yazgan. The Steinway Award is awarded to pianists who demonstrate excellence across 3 areas: artistic excellence, service to the school, and service to their fellow students. We have 8 award winners, so please hold your applause until all 8 names have been called. Vladimir Rumyantsev, Ivan Gusev, Baron Fenwick, Isabella Ma, Georgi Lakoff, Anthony Bonamici, Santiago Lomelin Urea, and Radoslava Jacek. Would you come forward? The Manus Dean's Award is a special prize given for outstanding service to the school. This year, the award goes to 3 students: Zachary Goldman, Amy Wang, and Artemis Chung. The Marion Marcus Wall Memorial Award is presented to a graduating pianist or singer for excellence in his or her field. This year, the award goes to Chloe San Antonio Bielecki. The Martineau Composition Prize is given to a student or students demonstrating unique voice and originality in music composition. The award is given in honor of the distinguished composer and former Manus teacher, Boslav Martineau. This year there are 2 recipients: Aphrodite A. Stevens for his work The Clock, and Scott Fish for his work Around the Cloud. The Newton Swift Piano Award is presented each year to a graduating pianist who, in addition to being an outstanding soloist, is also an amiable colleague in accompanying and chamber music. This year's award goes to Binna Han. I'm happy to accept the award on her behalf. The Manus College Orchestral Performance Award is given to a group of students or a student who has performed with distinction over the course of their time at Manus. This year's award goes to Joshua Markham. The Presser Undergraduate Scholar Award is awarded each year to a rising senior earning a very high grade point average who has worked with distinction throughout his or her course of study. Last year's Presser Scholar was Isabella Ma, and this year's recipient is Julia Tan. Yet another award I get to keep. That's very nice. The Michael Siska Opera Award is given to a graduating student demonstrating good service to the opera program and extraordinary promise for the future. This year, the award is presented to Isabel Freeman. The Mannes Opera Career Grant is awarded to a highly promising graduating singer. This year, the Mannes Opera Career Grant goes to Gansen Salmon. I'm cleaning up here. It's very nice. The next award is the George and Elizabeth Gregory Award, and it is given to a group of outstanding and promising musicians. There are 5 winners this year. They are Megui Zhang, Mario Diaz-Moresco, Jackie Tresch, Natalie Bruginski, and Colin Leung. The Alsop Entrepreneurship Award is given to a small group of Mannes students each year that develop ideas for entrepreneurial ventures and innovations within the performing arts. The winners are selected and awarded seed funding for their projects by a small panel of judges who are industry leaders in the field of music. We have 3 winners this year. They are Colin Leung, Emily Felice, and Rebecca Schifliti. Now, sorry, I just need to check my notes here. All right. Good. I would now like to invite my colleague, John Herbert, to the stage to help present the Mannes Prep Service Award.
Thank you, Frank. Congratulations to the class of 2018. Mannes Prep relies on the help of many of you throughout the year, whether that's auditions, juries, stage crew. So thank you to all of you who've assisted us through the past couple of years. The Mannes Prep Service Award is awarded to a student who has demonstrated outstanding service to Mannes Prep through their hard work, musical mentorship, and good humor. They've been a positive role model for Prep Division students, provided valuable support to the administration and faculty, and have been a great citizen in our community. Would like to give an honorable mention to a young man who, whether accompanying Suzuki Book 1 or the Dvorak Cello Concerto, really provides a real attention to detail and just straight up professionalism and kindness no matter what. This year's honorable mention goes to Vladimir Rumyantsev. So if you could stand for me. The winner of this year's Manus Prep Service Award is a young man I've known for 6 years. He's been here longer than most of us. He has managed 4 different orchestras, I believe, has been in charge of 26 stage crews for our various concerts. A tremendous musician. I think he's had great success spreading his message on Classic FM. He has a really great man bun now. Would you need a little hat for us still? Mark, we wouldn't be able to do it without you. You're someone that I can rely on at all times. I know all of us in this community have been able to rely on you, and I appreciate that so much. Most importantly, we've seen you grow in an amazing way. You've become a young professional. You've developed a really nice sensitivity to the students, faculty, and anything that comes your way. So thank you so much on behalf of all of us. Congratulations and thank you.
And to present one final award, allow me to invite Dean Kessler back up to the podium.
Thank you. Now back to my desk here. Before I speak briefly about this last award, I do want to welcome everyone who's joining us today by live stream. So hi everyone from live stream. We're glad to have you. You know, you attend the Manus School of Music. You don't attend the New England Conservatory. That's not a judgment on quality of the school. You don't attend the Manhattan School of Music. You attend the Manus School of Music. And the Manus School of Music, it's the name of people who walk this planet. It's the name of people, essentially 3 people, who founded the school or led the school in various stages. David Manus died the year that I was born. Leopold Manus died when I was 5 years old. Clara Manus died before that. I've been interested in the Manuses since I started this job. I also went to Manus for 2 years during my undergraduate time and did take a class with Frank. And other people, who shall remain nameless. But I thought a lot about, it's just the nature of the passage of time that these 3 people, Clara Manus, who was a Damrosch, another name people today would not necessarily know, David Manus, Leopold Manus, all these years later, the names become lost in a sense, but they were royalty. And we thought a lot about this award, the Founders Award, and the award is meant to reflect the Manuses. David, the great violinist, concertmaster of the New York Symphony, which eventually merged with the New York Philharmonic to become the New York Philharmonic as we know it today. He was an esteemed chamber music performer with the Kniesoll Quartet. He was a conductor, conducted many orchestras. He was a solo violinist. Clara, the pianist, the educator. Leopold Manus, the great educator, the great pianist, and for those of you who may know what Kodachrome was, some of you may not, Kodachrome was a color transparency film. It was the first real color film developed for both motion picture and still photography. And Leopold Manus and Leopold Godofsky, another pianist, invented Kodachrome in the 1930s. And they loved Manus, they invented Manus. They invented who we are today, what we are today. In David Manus's memoir, he speaks of, it's an incredible time. He speaks of the 1920s and their home on the Upper West Side. And they were close with the great cellist Pablo Casals. Casals would come to their home, he would stay over, he would sleep over, they would have dinner. They would play chamber music. And it's an amazing, and there's a point at which they write where Clara stopped playing, they were doing a cello duo, piano and cello. And then Leopold, being only in his teens, said, I want to play. I want to play with Pablo Casals. He was not quite the name that he would become. And then the young Leopold Manis starts playing duos with Pablo Casals. Many years later, he'd recorded many things. He was one of the key accompanists for Pablo Casals. And in a sense, this year, I think that we're honoring that sense of community, that sense of chamber music. We give this award, the Founders Award, certainly recognizing the individuals that we're going to announce, but really, and it's the case for all of the awards, and it's some misgivings I have about giving the awards. It's very difficult as we go through the awards to try to identify with so many great people here, with so many talented people here, with so many committed people here. The giving the awards is kind of a torturous thing. And for every award that we gave, we overlooked someone that we could easily have given an award. So what I would say is the Founders Award, while it will be given to these 5 students, it represents all of you without question, and it represents the ideals of the Manises. And in a sense, it represents the Manises in chamber music and everything that chamber music was about to them, and it is about to us. So we are thrilled to present the Founders Award to the 13th Street Winds, Samantha Marshall, Chanmi Kim, Jeremiah Adriano, Tyler Thomas, and Alejandro Salveri. Are there awards here? Oh. Wait, hold on. Sorry, Thomas. Congratulations. I think I missed it, Jeremiah. Congratulations. Wait, hold on. Thank you, and congratulations. Thank you, and congratulations. Let's hear it for all of our award winners. Congratulations. I have not, in my tenure, ever written out my closing remarks, for better or for worse. But Valerie Foyer once told me I speak from the heart, so it usually works out. So I will say that many of the things that I wanted to say and that I do want to say have been said by others. One of the things I would say, just to underscore what Julia said, is no one here arrived here by mistake. And for that, you are fortunate and you are gifted. There are many people who are trying to find their passion. Many people go through life trying to find their passion. They can go an entire lifetime without finding the thing that makes the hair stand up on the back of their neck. You all have it. You all know what it is. You're here because of it. In some cases, you're here against the odds. In some cases, you're here, your parents wish you'd gotten a computer engineering degree instead or something like that. So, when I was a kid, it was like accounting or something like that. You're here because music has touched you and moved you. You love it. It flows through you. And you want to devote a life and a career to it. It's that turn of a phrase. Sometimes it's just a little, it's not even an entire phrase in a piece. It could be a Bruckner symphony, and there's one moment where the oboe plays one thing for a few measures that never comes back in the piece ever again, just for one moment. And it's that one little thing in these things. And every time I hear that in that Bruckner symphony, the whole symphony to me is really about a 3-movement moment where the oboe plays a certain phrase. And that phrase just makes your heart beat a little bit faster. And and it's for that you're here. It's that reason you're here. It's never lose it. Never lose that love of music, the reasons you're here. It's something special. And whatever you do, wherever you go, hold on to that. Hold on to that thing and embrace what makes your heart beat faster. I'll get serious for a second. couple things. One is, it's impossible not to fail you to some degree as dean. It's just not possible to avoid some sort of failure in something that just doesn't work the way we wish it would or that we want it to. That said, we do everything we can to make it the best school possible for you. And I give it every bit of my energy and my love to ensure that we can do best by you. Again, as I said, it's impossible to fail, but I want you to know that we all work every single day for you, the students that have come before you, and the students that will come after you, to make it the best experience, to prepare you for the world that you will enter. And I want to say to you all, including everyone here today, that and I feel it so deeply in my heart that you make me so proud to be Dean of Mannes. I just cannot tell you, you are all such beautiful people. You have all worked so hard. You know, there's a lot of people, for one reason or another, that never quite understand, and again, underscoring something Julia said, they never quite understand the work that goes into this particular craft, this particular art form, how hard you work, the dedication. Julia spoke about it so beautifully. But we understand it. I certainly understand it. And all the performances. I mean, there are a few things. One, I wished I knew every one of you. It's just not possible. I've gotten to know many of you. I feel fortunate for that. I feel fortunate. I wished I could have heard every performance. I was not able to. It's just not possible. But I heard so many performances that just blew me away. I saw so many things that blew me away. Sometimes it's the two people just laughing together. Sometimes it's a performance. Sometimes it's just a smile. Sometimes it's the work that people do. And it makes me just not only proud of you, but I feel fortunate to be the dean of a school like this. Getting even more serious, but I'll certainly crack a joke shortly. I do think, and I'm sure everyone feels similarly, that there are just so many things in the world that are just so horrible. You see it every day. You read it every day. The violence, things that you just cannot fathom that are happening around the world. And I believe in my heart that every single time that you create a piece of art, that you perform, that you write something, that you're involved in the making of art and music, every single time that you bring beauty into this world, that this world needs more of. Some people, Leonard Bernstein has a famous quote, and it was in response to violence, and he said that in response to violence that we would make music harder, I'm paraphrasing, we would make music harder and longer and more than we ever did before, and that's been debated as to, some people would say, well, that doesn't stop a bullet. It's true, it may not stop a bullet. But every time you bring beauty into this world, you bring something beautiful that we need, that is an antidote, that is a counterbalance to the terrible things that are going on. Make that music every day, listen to it, share it, encourage people to love it, to be advocates for it. We need it. It's something special that you all have inside of you, that this world needs. It's why artists are so important, and it's part of why we're so committed to this school and committed to you. You have a place in this world that we need you to do what you do, to continue doing it no matter what. And you not only have special gifts, but you have special obligations to do it for the world. So I would say too, go out there and know that wherever you go, whatever you do, Mannes loves you, that we will always do everything we can to support you. We will always be here to offer advice, to help you in any way that we possibly can. Any of the administrators, any of the members of the boards of governors, that we really will always be with you, and that we will always be rooting for you, and that I wish you only the best of luck in your life and your work, and just go get them. Go get them. And also, don't forget, there's a reception at 13th Street. So congratulations, class of 2018. See you at the reception, 55 West 13th. Thank you.